Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Coming up in the next hour. Several explosions heard in Tehran. Israel says conducting precise strikes on military targets in Iran. Ukrainian President Zelensky snaps UN Chief Guterres after his Russia trip. Official says Russian withdrawal needed to establish peace. With 9 days to go for US presidential polls, campaigning at its peak, Harris rallies on abortion rights as Trump moderates in final election push. Nature's fury continues to batter lives across the globe. Tropical storm Tramy killed 76 people in Philippines, while heavy rainfall in India's eastern coastline due to Dana. An India squad for Australia tour announced. Kuldeep Yadav and Akshar Patel not included, while Mohammad Shami misses out. 3 uncapped players named. Our top story. Explosions were reported over Tehran as Israel launched retaliatory airstrikes against Iran early on Saturday. Israel Defense Force said that it is conducting precise strikes on military targets in Iran. Israel further added that it has the right and duty to respond to attacks from Tehran and its proxies. The recent attack against Iran was in response to the ballistic missile barrage carried out by Iran on October 1st, in which around 200 ballistic missiles were fired at Israel.
In response to months of continuous attacks from the regime in Iran against the State of Israel, right now, the Israel Defense Forces is conducting precise strikes on military targets in Iran. The regime in Iran and its proxies in the region have been relentlessly attacking Israel since October 7th on 7 fronts, including direct attacks from Iranian soil. Like every other sovereign country in the world, the State of Israel has the right and the duty to respond. Our defensive and offensive capabilities are fully mobilized. We will do whatever necessary to defend the State of Israel and the people of Israel.
An Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was also following the attack on Iran from the Operation Room at Israel's Defense Ministry in Tel Aviv. Netanyahu was also accompanied with Israel's Defense Minister Yoav Gallant and Israel's Military Chief Herzi Halevi. Meanwhile, National Security Council spokesman of White House Sean Savit has called the strikes on Iran as an exercise of self-defense, whereas according to a US official, the United States was notified by Israel ahead of its strikes on targets in Iran, but was not involved in the operation. As tensions in West Asia escalates, Iran's neighboring country, Iraq, suspended all air traffic on Saturday. The air traffic has been halted at Iraq's airport until further notice. Country's transport minister added that due to regional tensions, the decision has been taken to preserve the safety of civil aviation in Iraqi airspace. All right, to talk more on this, DD India's Amit Mukherjee is joining us live from Delhi, and we are also joined by Alok Bansal, Director, India Foundation. He's also joining us from Delhi. Welcome, Mr. Bansal. Amit, I'll come to you first. Israel has confirmed it launched precise strikes on military targets in Iran. Tell us any information on what sites were hit and the extent of the damage.
Well, Abhishek, yes, the much anticipated response of Israel. We saw it play out early since Saturday morning. In fact, in 3 precise series of airstrikes, Israel has targeted missiles facilities in 3 provinces of Iran, including Tehran. In fact, surface-to-air missile facility, that's what Israel is claiming, has been hit during the course of this action. Even Iran has responded. It has acknowledged that there has been airstrikes, but it has also said that it has been intercepted in a considerable manner, and the damage that has been done is only limited. So yes, Israel, in fact, has also announced the end of conclusion of the 3 raids which were actually happening since morning. And in fact, Benjamin Netanyahu has now warned Iran that any retaliation to this, any escalation to this response by Israel, because if you look at this, Israel is terming this attack as a response to what had happened on October 1st, when Iran had launched about 200 ballistic missiles into Israel. So this Israel has always been terming it as a retaliation to what Iran had done on its territory on 1st of October. And it has warned that any further escalation or a retaliation would again lead to grave consequences. Abhishek?
Right. And also, Amit, I mean, were the strikes carried out in different phases? And is it confirmed that the strikes on Iran are over and Iran has closed its airspace too? Also tell us about the scale of the destruction.
Well, as far as the IDF is concerned, Israel's IDF has confirmed that it has kind of concluded the first round of raids, which were actually taking place in Saturday morning. So these were basically 3 different raids which were carried out, and in 3 different provinces of Iran. And for the time being, it has been paused, and both sides are waiting for the response. Now, if you look at what had happened yesterday, Iran had made a statement that it would retaliate in a very severe manner if its nuclear facilities and its oil installations are attacked. But in case the attacks are only symbolic, the Israeli attacks are symbolic, it might respond in a very, very calculated manner, which means a sort of a muted response is what Iran had said in its statement yesterday. Now it's a matter of time to kind of, it's for the Iranian to evaluate whether the attacks that has been launched by Israel this morning are indeed symbolic, and whether it has actually not been able to done much damage to its facilities. Now again, that's a matter of thing that needs to be kind of evaluated, and it's up to the perception of both the sides what they feel about the strike which has been executed by Israel recently.
All right, Amit, stay on. I'll come back to you. Meanwhile, Mr. Bansal, this was expected, but within what capacity were you expecting this attack to happen?
See, this attack, like all previous attacks, is actually similar, where the attacking side projects that they have carried out huge damage to the other side, but the defending side says there has been minimal damage. Most of the missiles and incoming projectiles have been intercepted. This is what Israelis claimed when Iran had attacked them, and this has been going on primarily because everybody is catering for its domestic audience. Israel's offense was primarily to cater to its domestic audience. Iran is catering to its domestic audience. The reason why this attack has been launched, as I have been repeatedly saying, is that Netanyahu wants to influence the US elections, which he can do by these attacks. Because if this offensive aggravates the conflict in Middle East, the US would be forced to take side. And especially in the Democrat Party, there is a problem because its support base stems from both sides, both from Jewish diaspora as well as from the Muslims, as well as young students who at this point of time in universities across US are supportive of the Palestinian cause. So if the conflict aggravates and Democrats have to take a chance, this will actually derail their election campaign. And Netanyahu at this point of time would definitely not like to see a Democrat victory in the US presidential elections. And that's why I was certain that this attack would come up before the US elections, and it has come up. Hoping that there is some retaliation, US would try and convince Iran and Israel at least not to launch or not to further aggravate it till the election day. Whether they succeed or not is a matter of debate, but that would be what they would be trying. these attacks, I only hope, does not provoke Iran to launch a retaliatory attack, because the present Iranian regime of the president wants good relations. They want to get back into the mainstream. They're hoping for a deal with the United States and the sanctions being lifted.
But Mr. Bansal, I mean, you spoke about US. I mean, you were expecting it will come before the US elections, just 9 days to go. But how do you see the role of US in all of this? I mean, it has been saying that they are a friend of Israel. At the same time, US asking Israel not to hit the nuclear facilities. How do you see the role of US in this entire conflict?
Say, if you see the previous attack by Iran, the US had actually warned them when the attack is coming, how many hours within which attack will come. And as a result, most of the attack was actually intercepted. So US has been playing that role where he doesn't want the strikes to get further aggravate the situation. They have been preventing large-scale damage. And at the same time, they know that the country which is launching the attack has to pander to its domestic audience. And that is what they are doing. Like when Iranians launched the attack, if you would have seen Iranian media, it would have said that they have destroyed, I don't know what all in Israel. They destroyed the oil terminal, they destroyed the security forces. But if you read the Israeli media, there was no impact. They claimed only one casualty, and that too of a Palestinian Arab, and no other casualty. So, as I said, depending on which side of the divide you are, people are projecting. And whatever is happening between Iran and Israel is primarily to pander to the domestic audience. Unlike what's happening with Hamas and Hezbollah, where there is actual fight going on, where there is actually huge loss of life and property.
Amit, if I ask the same question from you, tell us about the role of US in this entire West Asia conflict. I mean, US does not want a wider regional war. How do you see the role of US? I mean, you have been following this story for quite some time now. What is the role of US in this entire conflict?
Well, Abhishek, a key element in this whole conflict is definitely the US elections right now. And if you look at the posturing of US, it has been very, very careful in kind of, going about distancing itself at some place, engaging itself in some place. And if you look at it, it has constantly been pressing for a ceasefire. Now, US Secretary of State Antony Blinken is currently in West Asia, and he is sort of trying to reach a ceasefire and asking all the parties who are involved in this conflict to kind of step back and let peace prevail in this region. Now, it has also been kind of even as far as today's attacks are concerned, it was very quick to respond to the US administration, and it clearly mentioned that US is not involved in this, and Israel is going ahead with a retaliation strike against what had happened on October 1st. Basically referring to the attack which Iran had mounted on Israel on 1st of October, where about 200 ballistic missiles were reportedly launched into Israel. So now, on one hand, if you look at Antony Blinken's 11th visit, this is his 11th visit, where he has been constantly looking at ways to kind of broker a peace deal out there in the region, release of the Israeli hostages who were taken away on the 7th of October last year, when Hamas squads had actually entered the Israeli territory and abducted people, and in fact conducted mass killings out there. So that has been the key point, from where everything had started to flow. And at this point in time, even US has been harping on the fact that now that Yahya Sinwar, who was the chief of Hamas, was eliminated, they should look this as an opportunity, because apparently Yahya Sinwar was the person who was responsible for masterminding the entire operation of October 7th. Now, with his death, US is constantly been asking Israel to step down, because they should look at Sinwar's death as the guilty has been brought to justice. So that has been another symbolic, incident which US has now been harping on to put an end to this conflict, and especially when the US elections barely about 2 weeks away, and this particular incident, the entire Middle East, West Asia conflict, has been having a significant amount of impact as far as the US elections are concerned. Abhishek?
But will Israel budge from its stand? Mr. Bansal, there have been red zones also. I mean, what do you think is the red line by US for Israel when it comes to Iran?
Well,
I was asking Mr. Bansal. Yeah.
Oh, as far as the red lines are concerned, I think US would not want that Israel attacks something which forces Iran to immediately retaliate. Because I think US interlocutors are dealing both with Iran and Israel and are trying to keep up this facade of the conflict going on while not really inflicting damage. While Iran is agreeing and more or less abiding by the US requests, because the present Iranian regime, the present president is actually keen to have peace and wants to get back to the mainstream. But Israel, on the other hand, is actually not really abiding, because if you see, when Yahya Sinwar was killed, Anthony Blinken was dispatched to Israel primarily to say that now you have a locus standi on which you could probably call a ceasefire and negotiate. But Netanyahu realizes that if he goes for a ceasefire, and if supposing a democratic dispensation comes up in United States, it's going to be very difficult for Israel going forward, because they would want them to implement some accord, Oslo Accord, and give some sort of an autonomy to Palestinians, which will create problems for Israel. So I think Israelis at this moment are hoping that if they can step up the tempo, they would be able to influence the US elections and prevent Kamala Harris from coming to power. They definitely want Donald Trump becoming the next US president, considering his views as far as Israel-Palestinian issues are concerned.
All right, reactions also have been coming in. Israeli military says the attacks targeted missile manufacturing facilities in Iran. Amit, now the question is whether Iran would respond to these attacks. I mean, any response, any comments from Iran after these attacks carried out by Israel?
Well, Abhishek, we are yet to receive any comments from Iran, except for the fact that they have said that the damage that has been done during these raids, the airstrikes which happened in its territory conducted by Israeli, has been very, very limited. In fact, the kind of targeted attacks which were there has been thwarted, and the damage has been limited to a certain extent. But at the same time, Israel is also claiming that it has, inflicted a considerable amount of damage, and it's, the prime target of it has been met, in terms of dismantling the missile facilities. In fact, Israel has been very, very precise in saying that they have only targeted those facilities where missiles which were used for October 1st attack were being manufactured. So those facilities, those surface-to-air missiles and other, and other missiles, other area of air striking missiles, those things have been, targeted, especially the ones which have been used to launch offense against the Israelis. Now, having said that, again, I would like to draw your attention to what Iran has been saying. In fact, it had mentioned yesterday that only if its strategic installations, the oil and nuclear facilities are attacked, will it go for a very, very emphatic response. But in case if it's just restricted to a symbolic attack, and again, it's a matter of perception whether Iran considers this as a symbolic attack or whether a considerable amount of damage has been inflicted. It has been maintaining that Iran, in fact, has been maintaining that it doesn't want war at this point in time. But at the same time, it had been very, very firm in terms of saying that if Israel responds, launches an attack on its territory, it would not back out from retaliating. Abhishek?
But Mr. Bansal, the Iranian state had previously stated that any strike on their country would be met with a stronger retaliation. Now you think Tehran will need more retaliatory options and West Asia will remain maybe trapped in a cycle of violence?
See, I feel there will be a retaliation. The retaliation is inevitable. In fact, Iran has said that they would react to it and that attack would come. And what is interesting is that Israel has also said that their attack is over. Now, this is something very interesting. If you see the last Iranian attack also, after launching the attack, they had said the attack is over. The Israelis who were in bomb shelters were told that now they could go home. So, to some extent, you would appreciate that this seems more of an staged strikes in both sides, I think, when people are informing the other side, yes, we have done our bit. But I have a feeling that Iran would probably wait till the US elections for launching its retaliation. Maybe you could see the retaliation after the US elections, and that is what US would want. I really don't know whether, because Iranian president also would be under immense pressure from the hardliners within his own country. And as you know, Iranian president is not the ultimate authority. The ultimate arbiter of nations' policies is Vilayat-e Faqih, or the supreme leader. So he would be under immense pressure from the hardliners who would want him to react. I only hope that he's able to stall this pressure till the US elections.
Amit, last question before we leave you. What is the message that is coming out with these attacks? Conflict not going to end?
Well, Abhishek, as far as the ground realities are concerned, it's much more than what meets the eye. Definitely what is happening on the ground is not what we are witnessing through media, in fact, and through statements that are being made by both sides. Definitely at some point in time, there have been negotiations, because if you look at the series of instances that have been happening over the past few weeks, it's just not the statements which are being made for the press or for the public. I'm sure there must have been negotiations and talks, diplomatic talks between all those who have been involved in this conflict. So, well, as Mr. Bansal also pointed out, that this could just be some sort of a staged thing to bring an end to what is going on for a year now. And, to a certain extent also, Israel has been quite successful in executing what it has been targeting since its people and territory were attacked since October 7th. It kind of launched very targeted attacks against Hamas. It eliminated its leadership. Same with Hezbollah. It had attacked all the Hezbollah, strongholds in Lebanon. It executed it eliminated, got rid of the Hezbollah leader Nasrallah, and also those people who were trying to succeed him, take over his position. They have also been targeted, and to a certain extent, if you go by Israeli, statements, even the people who were trying to succeed Nasrallah has been eliminated. Also, as far as Hezbollah is concerned, which has been constantly, attacking Israeli territory since the day Hamas had launched its attack on October 7th, Hezbollah has also been very, very instrumental in relentlessly mounting attacks on Israel, which is why Israel also targeted the financial backbone of Hezbollah and, in fact, the financial institution Al-Qaid al-Hassan, which has been financing a lot of activities of Hezbollah. Apparently, that organization has also been targeted. About 30 branches of it was kind of, targeted in Lebanon. So Israel, to a certain extent, have kind of achieved all its goals. And if you look at the optics also, it has made the last strike. Now, unless and until Iran really retaliates, we'll have to see till the US election gets over what exactly the situation is. So again, it's more than what meets the eye.
Ground reality is different, you're saying. But Mr. Bansal, Israel is fighting with multiple opponents, multiple countries, like we discussed, all linked together. With one player, Iran. Israel has the support of US. Iran has its proxies. Your reaction? Where do you think the conflict is heading?
The conflict was in a stalemate as long as it was confined to Gaza. And in fact, Israel had not been able to achieve its objectives despite causing a lot of loss of life and property. But Israel has attained amazing success when it came to Hezbollah. Actually, the killing of Nasrallah and the elimination of senior leadership of Hezbollah has really enhanced approval rating of Prime Minister Netanyahu significantly. All through the conflict in Gaza, his approval ratings were coming down. And there was no doubt that Netanyahu was trying to prolong the war to remain in power. But after elimination of Nasrallah and various targets of Hezbollah leadership, his approval ratings have gone up because most Israelis did not expect Israel to successfully counter Hezbollah, because Israel's previous experience with Hezbollah had been negative. They had actually faced severe setback when they had last attacked Hezbollah. So this time it's been a significant success, and that's undoubtedly a big success. As far as their attacks against Houthis and Iran are concerned, it's more symbolic, because these two are too far off. You cannot have a lasting impact. You can have at best a temporary attack on these two areas. So like attacks on Iran, the attacks on Houthis may cause destruction as far as Houthis are concerned, but there cannot be a lasting impact of that, unlike in case of Gaza and Hezbollah. So that, to my mind, is the situation right now. Ideally, Netanyahu should have negotiated, but I feel he wants to step up the conflict till the US elections. And once elections are over, then maybe he'll go for negotiate settlement.
How will this end? Nobody knows as of now, but yes, we'll have to wind up our discussion here. Thank you, gentlemen, for your insights, Samit and Mr. Alok Bansal.
Thank you.
All right, we'll slip into a very short break. On the other side, more stories. Keep watching DD India News Hour.
Recycle, repair, renew. Are these cool trending terms or age-old traditions?
We started distributing the compost. The residents were really happy. It also made them understand the need for waste management, why segregation was important, because it was happening right in front of their houses.
Over the past years, we also expanded into the area of repair, and that obviously has an additional impact on saving e-waste, and that's an additional area where we see quite some potential.
The panels contain a lot of rare commodities, and you can save a lot of energy if you use recycled materials. It's also extremely important to keep those recycled materials here in Germany.
Biotanks, the sewage water gets recycled. It can be used for different purposes or drained into the ground.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Some more stories. Updates now on Russia-Ukraine conflict. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has rejected a plan for the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres to visit Kiev due to his attendance at BRICS summit in Russia. After attending the summit, Guterres had wanted to visit Kiev, but Kiev was enraged by Guterres' appearance at the summit, his handshake with Russian President Vladimir Putin, and spending UN Day on the territory of Russia. Deputy UN spokesperson Farhan Haq said Guterres discussed a visit to Ukraine with Zelensky when they met in New York in September. Since then, the UN and Ukraine have been trying to work out a mutually convenient time for a visit, but nothing had been decided. And United States presidential candidate Donald Trump held a campaign event in Austin, Texas on Friday to tout his policies on the US-Mexico border. During his speech, Trump accused the Biden administration of leaving the southern border open to migrants, while Harris has pushed back against that by blaming Trump for pressuring Republicans in Congress to veto a bipartisan border security bill that would tighten border controls.
Win this election, we're going to go to Venezuela next year, Ted, and we're going to celebrate there because it's going to be much safer than our country, okay? Is that a deal? We'll all go together. No, it's just so bad. Well, I have to tell you, I'm not supposed to say it, but we are winning by a lot, actually.
And former US President and Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump criticized Kamala Harris at a campaign rally in Traverse City, Michigan on Friday. Referring to recent strikes on Iran military targets, Trump accused Kamala Harris of partying while whole world is at war.
You got a little dose of incompetent people. You know where she is tonight? She's out partying. So Israel is attacking. We got a war going on and she's out partying. At least we're working to make America great again. That's what we're doing.
And superstar singer Beyonce took the stage at a rally for Kamala Harris in Houston on Friday. She was there for the Democratic presidential candidate Beyonce walked on stage addressing the crowd of some 30,000 attending Vice President Kamala Harris's abortion rights themed rally.
A mother who cares deeply about the world my children and all of our children live in. A world where we have the freedom to control our bodies. A world where we're not divided.
All right, now let's go across to DD India's Amritpal Singh. He is joining us live from Austin, Texas. Amrit, tell us about the strategy of both the candidates as the campaigning enters its last phase. We saw Beyonce supporting Kamala Harris in Houston today.
In fact, I was there. I just came back to Austin from Houston, which is about a 3-hour drive from Texas, Austin. There was considerable enthusiasm in the crowds because of Beyonce. Beyonce being the Grammy Award winner and the celebrity that she is, and she's a Houston native, so she was able to connect with people. And interestingly, she said that I'm not here as a celebrity, I'm not here as anybody else or a politician, but I'm here as a mother, somebody who supports choice. Essentially, Kamala Harris using that forum of that rally, which saw huge numbers attend, especially from the working class people attend, people from cross-section of society, from different races, whites, black, women, men, older people, younger people. So she was able to touch a chord there when she said that she is determinedly pro-choice because that is what affects the people. Now, though Texas is a red state, it goes the Republican way, votes the Republican way, has voted so in past 50 years. Kamala knows she's not going to win Texas, but she was trying to send a message to two people. One, the swing and the undecided voters in the swing states, the neighboring swing states of Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Arizona, Nevada, but also to the women who are avowedly Republican, because it does touch a chord. If you look at the Pew survey, it says 6 out of every 10 Americans, not depending upon how which side they vote on, especially amongst women, do believe that they should have the right to treat their body they want to, the way they want to, and whether go in for abortion or not go in for abortion should be their right and not the right of the state. So clearly Kamala was trying to cross the fence and reach out to the Republican women playing on the issue of abortion. Meanwhile, Donald Trump was also here in Texas today. He was in Austin, where I am right now. He came for a podcast. He touched upon, Abhishek, his favorite issue of illegal immigration, saying that these, using the words, these illegal aliens are murdering our children. He spoke about, a 12-year-old girl who was murdered. Remember, Texas shares a long border with Mexico and has a lot of illegal crossing overs happening here from Latin America, especially from Mexico. So he was trying to, woo the voter in the last lap. Abhishek?
All right, you spoke about the campaigning, what those leaders are saying, but what are the polls saying? Popular vote, what is the current voter sentiment? Key issues influencing?
Oh. Well, it's a close tie. 47 to 45, it varies 0.5% every day. But remember, there is a margin of error. There is a margin of error, and that could mean it could go either way. It will finally boil down, Abhishek, to how the bigger swing states vote, how Pennsylvania votes, which way Michigan, Wisconsin go, which way Georgia goes. In my understanding, Georgia, Pennsylvania, and probably the blue wall of Wisconsin will decide which way the election goes, who will sit in the Oval Office for the next 4 years, because it is really neck and neck. Issues for people, economy, jobs, rising cost of living, issues like abortion, pro-life, pro-choice, and the very illegal immigration, because it's having an impact on jobs, and so that is what matters to people. Affordable housing, yes.
And you mentioned about swing states. I mean, race is intensifying in 7 critical battleground states.
Abhishek, I couldn't get that part.
I was asking about the swing states. I mean, I was asking that the race is intensifying in 7 critical battleground states.
Oh, it's neck and neck, Abhishek. Yeah. It's neck and neck. Both parties are trying to woo voters. That's why you see these slogans, every vote counts, or you see this slogan, every vote to win. We will win this. They're trying to get out as many voters from their own voter base, from the undecided voter base, which is about 5 to 10% in each county. So the swing states or the purple states, the race is very, very close. It's a tight race to the White House there.
All right, Amrit. We'll leave it at that. Thank you for your inputs. As Donald Trump and Kamala Harris fight it out in the final days of US presidential polls, what do the youth of America think about these elections and the road ahead? My colleague Shubhendu Ghosh meets some bright young students in University of Miami to document their perspective.
US elections are in their final stages before the big day of November 5th, Election Day. I have with me some young people from University of Miami, students, thinkers, and I'm here to get their perspective on how does the youth look at these elections. Will and his friends are all here. First, I'd like to learn from each one of you. As young people, what are the issues at the heart of these elections? What do you expect from the new government?
I think at the heart of this election, one of the primary issues is the affordability of housing. I think it's an issue that affects Gen Z the most, and I assume that all of us here are in Gen Z, so I want to see that definitely be focused on in the next administration. The southern border is definitely a problem as well. I wish to see that there's more security on the border.
For me, this election, I am concerned about the access to reproductive health care, especially here in the state of Florida, which is a banned state, currently under a 6-week ban. I am concerned about decriminalization of drug use as well. I'm worried about the housing crisis because there is a criminalization of houselessness, especially here in Miami-Dade County. And I'm also worried about our education.
I think what defines this election for me is issues related to gender, women's rights, access to reproductive health care, especially in Florida, which was a hub after the overturn of Roe v. Wade for many Southern women.
I agree with much of what they have already said, but another issue that I've noticed is a lot of America feels largely divided between a certain party and like a certain candidate, and like they feel attached to either side. And personally, I would like to see a more calm environment where people are just generally more friendly within politics.
Basically, I really agree with what many of them were saying about housing and also with women reproductive rights. And overall, I think that politicians need to think about what younger people really want. I feel like they don't really listen to us.
Right, so those were some great ideas that we got. Next, let's also find out what and where would you like to see America in the next 4 years. These elections, they say, are going to determine the future course. Your opinion on where America could be in the next 4 years. Paul?
As an American, I almost feel embarrassed when I see our politicians name-calling each other. And in the next 4 years, I would hope to, rather than seeing most people be proud of their party or over a certain candidate, to just be proud of America as one country.
For me personally, I would like to see in 4 years a America that is more diverse and has representatives that look more like me, that are around my age, rather than people who only care about corporations that are filling their pockets.
I want to see accountability. I want to see accountability and action taken in response to the multiple genocides across our world, in response to the state-sanctioned violence against Black and brown people, and as well here in the state of Florida, as we have seen natural disasters. I want to see our community showing up.
In 4 years, I'd like to see an America that has a citizenship that definitely keeps its government accountable, especially for its actions overseas in regards to funding Israel in their campaign in Palestine. Is something that I personally don't believe in. I want to see safer cities and overall a country that just puts American citizens first before the interests of others.
I want to see action on promises. There's a lot of things that a lot of politicians would say that will pull in a lot of not just students, a lot of people around the world, in the country, and then they don't act upon it. So I would like to see action.
Thank you, each one of you, for joining us for this conversation. Great food for thought. American students talking about how they would like to see America in the days and years ahead. And I hope the leaders are listening. With camera person Jaishankar, Shubhendu Ghosh for DD India in Miami.
DD India speaking with the students in Miami. Moving on, at least 76 people have been killed in central and northern Philippines after tropical storm Tramy battered the country, triggering landslides and flooding that trapped residents on their roofs and displaced thousands of people. As the storm leaves the country on Friday with the trail of destruction, state forecasters are raising the rare possibility that it could make a U-turn next week as it is pushed back by high-pressure winds developing in the South China Sea. Although Tramy did not strengthen into a typhoon, it dumped unusually heavy rains in some regions, including some that saw 1 to 2 months' worth of rainfall in just 24 hours, inundating communities with flash floods. All right, we are slipping into a very short break. On the other side, more stories. Keep watching DD India News Hour.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. India slammed Pakistan for raising the Kashmir issue at United Nations Security Council debate, calling it a mischievous provocation based on their tested tactic of spreading misinformation. India thanks Switzerland for convening the crucial debate on women building peace in a changing environment. Exercising its right to reply during the UN Security Council debate on women building peace in a changing environment, India called out Islamabad over the deplorable condition of women from minority communities in Pakistan. Addressing the UN Security Council debate, India's permanent representative to the UN in New York, Parvatneni Harish, spoke about the honors received by Indian women peacekeepers serving in different parts of the world.
Despicable yet entirely predictable that one delegation has chosen to indulge in mischievous provocation based on their tried and tested tactic of spreading misinformation and disinformation. It's completely misplaced to indulge in such political propaganda at this important annual debate. We are well aware that the condition of women belonging to minority communities, notably Hindus, Sikhs, and Christians, in that country remains deplorable. An estimated 1,000 women of these minority communities, as per data of the Human Rights Commission of that particular country, are subject to abduction, forced religious conversions, and forced marriages every year.
India's recalled High Commissioner Sanjay Verma says India was backstabbed and treated in a most unprofessional manner by a country that is supposed to be a friendly democracy. He told PTI that a handful of supporters of Khalistan have turned the ideology into a criminal enterprise.
Look, today I would say that about 10,000 of people in the Sikh community in Canada would be hardline Khalistanis. So it's just a handful. But they have made Khalistan into a business. In the name of Khalistan, they do human trafficking, they do drug trafficking, they do gun running. Almost every Canadian law and order vertical has got in it the pro-Khalistan elements. So that infiltration, and it includes their defense forces. So that infiltration is there, due to which they have been able to get their way. If I look at the Canadian Parliament, there are a number of parliamentarians who are known to have voiced opinions on challenging the territorial integrity of India, sovereignty of India, on record.
Sanjay Verma said that the Canadian authorities turn a blind eye to the situation in their country because they comprise a vocal electoral bank for local politicians.
How we see Canadian foreign policy, and that's my analysis, I may be absolutely off the track, but it has got a lot of diasporic inputs. And these diaspora which are there in Canada, including diaspora from India, they are stakeholders in their foreign policy. Okay. And their inputs are taken as sacrosanct because they are voters as well. And in order to win elections, the political leaders do depend on them. So when you take inputs from a part of the diaspora, which in any case is anti-India, then what do you get? So your foreign policy becomes that much more colored from their views. Other members of the Indian community, other members of the Indian diaspora, they are there to earn a living. Yeah. They do not have a business as the Khalistanis have. Yeah. So they are there to earn their livelihood. They are there to live peacefully with others. So they are not the ones who would shout the loudest, but these Khalistanis do shout the loudest.
On the second day of the Chanakya Defence Dialogue being held in Delhi, Dr. S. Somnath, the chairman of Indian Space Research Organisation, cautioned on the hazards of space debris. He also outlined major capability building initiatives of ISRO for situational awareness in space.
Earlier, we used to build satellites for 15 years, 20 years of lifetime. Today, we see that the technology is changing too fast, and we need to look at how we can have more flexible satellites that will adapt to market demands. And the technology itself is now living only for short duration, like 3 to 5 years. And also, new bands are coming, and because of the crowding of the infrastructure, the frequencies and new bands are getting qualified and also going into optical domain. Again, quantum. As communication programs are coming up, we also are going to build a set of satellites to do study on this quantum key distribution for securing communication.
And former Indian permanent representative to the UN, Ruchira Kamboj, highlighted that India has been using its growing soft power and diplomatic heft to champion the cause of the Global South. She also listed important resolutions that UN Security Council passed during the last tenure of India as the President of the Security Council.
India's approach to multilateralism has never, and I stress the word never, has never been about power politics. It has been about moral leadership and walking the talk. This remains unchanged till date. Our founding leaders recognized that for the global system to be sustainable, it must be inclusive and it must be just. And today, as we champion the cause of the Global South, we do so with the same moral clarity that defined our early years.
Now, the Director General level talks between India's Border Security Force and Bangladesh's Border Guard, initially scheduled for November 18 to 22nd in New Delhi, have been postponed. The Bangladesh's Border Guard requested a 1-month delay due to the deployment of its officials across Bangladesh, according to the spokesperson. The DG-level meetings are held twice annually, marking this as the 55th session. The last session took place in Dhaka in March. And as the landfall process of the severe cyclonic storm Dana tore through Indian eastern state Odisha coast in the wee hours of Friday, heavy rainfall with gusty winds lashed parts of southern West Bengal. As per the Indian Met Department, heavy to very heavy rainfall predicted in parts of Odisha, West Bengal and Jharkhand for the next few days. Flights and train services restored in both the affected states. The restoration and relief work that began following Cyclone Dana's landfall on the Odisha coast in early hours of Friday still continues in the coastal areas of the state. The people of Dhamra, Bhadrak and adjoining areas in coastal Odisha witnessed turbulent seas, gusty winds and rainfall as an impact of the cyclone. Sports updates now. We'll start with cricket. The BCCI announced India's squad for the upcoming Border Gavaskar Trophy Test Series against Australia on Friday. Rohit Sharma will lead the team while Jasprit Bumrah has been named vice-captain for the 5-match series. Mohammad Shami, still recovering from an injury, has been left out of the squad. Additionally, Kuldeep Yadav was unavailable for the selection due to chronic issues. Akshar Patel could not find a place. However, all-rounder Nitish Kumar Reddy has made the cut along with Abhimanyu Easwaran, who is expected to be the team's backup opener. Washington Sundar has also earned a spot in the 18-man squad. And Rohit Sharma and Yashasvi Jaiswal have started the proceedings for India in the chase of 359 against New Zealand at Pune. On the other hand, the Kiwi bowlers are eyeing some quick wickets in order to dominate the game. Top-notch spells for Washington Sundar and Ravindra Jadeja helped India bundle out New Zealand for 255 on day 3 of the second test in Pune. In the second innings we are talking about, and after getting bowled out for 156, India got off to a needful start with the ball as the Kiwi batters thrashed many runs. Tom Latham scored 86 while Glenn Phillips was unbeaten on 48. Apart from them, Tom Blundell scored 41. Meanwhile, for India, Washington Sundar scalped 4 wickets while Ravindra Jadeja took 3. Ravichandran Ashwin also took 2 wickets. Now, India need a total of 359 to win this test match. India are currently 21 for no loss. And a Super 10 cricket tournament was organized by the Hamdard Kupwara Battalion in J&K's Kupwara district. The tournament saw a total of 8 teams participating from 22nd to 25th October. The final match was played on Friday, which saw Rehmat Alam School lift the coveted trophy for this year. Indian Army felicitated the winner and runners-up Sadiq Memorial School during the prize distribution ceremony. Overall, the tournament was a huge success and provided the local youth a platform to showcase their sporting talent. And Manika Batra stunned world number 14 Bernadette Shaws to reach the quarterfinals of the WTT Champions event in Montpellier, France on Friday night. World number 30 won 3-1 in 29 minutes against the 8th seed Romanian in a closely contested round of 16 clash. The Indian converted her second match point to seal the deal, taking a 6-5 lead in the head-to-head record. Batra had also beaten Shaws in India's 3-2 win the pre-quarterfinals of the Paris Olympics. The 29-year-old made history by becoming the first ever player from India to reach the round of 16 in singles at the Olympics. Batra will next take on China's Qian Tianyai on Saturday. Alright, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek. From all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.